Hello children, today we are going to start a new poem, The Convergence of the Twain, written by Thomas Hardy. Okay, so basically this poem is about the lines on the loss of the Titanic. So what is Titanic? It was a great, huge royal ship that was built and that was built very beautifully, and unfortunately it met one tragic accident in 1912 that it got hit by the iceberg, and the whole ship, the whole Titanic ship was collapsed. Okay, so this took place in 1912. So before starting the poem, let's know something about the poet Thomas Hardy. Who was Thomas Hardy? Thomas Hardy was an English novelist and poet. His formal education ended when he was 16, as his social position did not allow him to study in a university. He remained preoccupied with his first wife's death and tried to overcome his pain by writing poetry. In 1910, Hardy had been awarded the Order of Merit. So this is about the poet Thomas Hardy. So, long ago there was a terrible accident in the Atlantic Ocean. A ship called Titanic sank. Thousands of people died. There was no electronic signaling system at that time. Thomas Hardy sees the hand of fate in that accident. Read the poem and find out more about the accident. See, here in this poem, we are going to know about the great, huge ship that was Titanic, which had sunk in the Atlantic Ocean in 1912. It had started its journey from England to New York. It was very luxurious and it was very royal ship. So in this poem, Thomas Hardy has explained how beautifully it was built and how it got collapsed there by hitting into the iceberg. Thomas Hardy sees the hand of fate. See, what is fate? It is destiny. So here the destiny was very unkind, and because of that the ship and that iceberg were formed just to hit each other to collapse. Unknowingly, the iceberg was formed in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and this Titanic, that was a passenger ship, it was carrying over 2,240 passengers, and nearly 1,500 people lost their lives. See, there was no electronic signaling system at that time. Means what? It had lost communication with others. So, as Titanic began to sink, the noise of steam and rushing air made it impossible for the Titanic to listen to anybody else's messages. Okay, so it had completely lost its communication with others. So, Thomas Hardy sees the hand of fate in that accident. Hand of fate means what? Fate had played its game. Hand of fate means Vidhiya Kaivada. So, let's read the poem first. Okay. And as the smart ship grew in stature, grace, and hue, in shadowy silent distance grew the iceberg too. Alien they seemed to be, no mortal eye could see the intimate welding of their later history, or sign that they were bent by paths coincident on being anon twin halves of one august event. Till the spinner of the years said now, and each one hears, and consummation comes and jars two hemispheres. So, the introduction of the poem, that is the first stanza, is that how beautifully Titanic was built. Okay, so it was a smart ship, means what? Elegant. It was very fashionable ship. So it was built in stature. Stature means its size and importance. Okay, it was very huge ship, and it was graceful. grace means what? Beautiful. Okay, grace means quality of being beautiful. Okay, and hue means the degree of brightness in color. So it was built very beautifully in stature, grace, and hue. Stature means its size, grace, beautiful, and hue is its brightness. It was very impressive. Okay, so this is how the Titanic was built. See, in glossary they have given Titanic as a noun, name of the ship. It comes from Titan, in Greek legend, one of a family of giants who ruled the world. So it comes from Greek background, so it is the family of giants who ruled the world. Other one is Titanic as an adjective, it of great strength, size, power, importance, etc. Okay, means it denotes huge. Okay, so the size, shape, and the power of the ship Titanic was significant. Okay, it was very important. And as that the smart ship was built in stature, grace, and hue, it was very impressive and it was very fashionable ship which was carrying over 2240 passengers. And as it was constructed in such a beautiful way, on the other hand, in shadowy silent distance grew the iceberg too. Shadow, yes, shadow means reflection. But here in this context, shadowy silent distance means somewhere at some far off distance, the nature was also preparing itself against that ship. Means that somewhere in the nature the iceberg was also forming. Okay, along with the construction of the Titanic, this iceberg formation. Okay, what is iceberg? Iceberg, it is a large piece of ice floating in the sea, most of which is below the surface. Okay, below the surface of the sea. So it is a huge solid ice. So the Titanic had hit that iceberg. So this line suggests that along with the construction of Titanic, this iceberg formation was also taking place silently, secretly, or in a hidden way. So this line suggests that while the Titanic was being built, nature was preparing itself to cause one great disaster, that is collision or the convergence of the Titanic and the iceberg. Yes, see, I have not told about the title, right? The convergence of the Twain. Convergence means what? Coming together towards a common point. Okay, coming towards a common point. See, convergence of the Twain. Twain means it is two, twin. Okay, usually it is used in poetical language. Okay, Twain means two. Okay, so who two are coming close towards each other? The Titanic and the iceberg. So the convergence of the Twain means the convergence of the Titanic ship and the iceberg. Okay, so in shadowy silent distance, this phrase makes the reader feel something mysterious and fearful. Okay, when you hear these lines, it feels something mysterious. Okay, shadowy means here hidden, causing a feeling of mystery and fear. Okay, so this is about the line in shadowy silent distance grew the iceberg too. Okay, so both were not knowing that they are going to meet at some point in the Atlantic Ocean. Alien they seem to be. See, what is meant by alien? Alien means stranger. okay, or unknown. So both were not knowing each other, both were unknown to each other, like strangers. And see, Titanic didn't know iceberg, and iceberg didn't know Titanic, so they were alien to each other. So Titanic, which was standing in the harbor, was not knowing there is iceberg in the ocean, and even iceberg was not knowing that Titanic is going to hit it someday. Okay, so alien means they were not known to each other. No mortal eye could see. Okay, no mortal eye could see means what? Mortal means what? Human. Okay, alien means stranger, mortal means human. No human eye could see it. Okay, so no one was knowing that the Titanic is going to hit the iceberg. Whether the passengers sitting in the Titanic were knowing about the iceberg? No. No one can guess it. No human eye could see, or no one can predict that such a great disaster is going to happen in future. That is the convergence of the Twain. Okay. So no one could predict that in future that the both are going to collide. The intimate welding of their later history. No mortal eye could see the intimate welding of their later history. The intimate means close. Okay, intimacy. Intimate means close. Welding means to join. Okay, intimate, close, welding, join. See, they have given in glossary. No mortal eye could see, no one could foretell. Foretell means predict. Okay, foretell means to predict. No one could predict. And intimate welding means close joining. So no one could predict that both are coming close to each other in later history, in future. Okay, or sign that they were bent by paths coincident on being anon twin halves of one august event. So none of them, both of these two, iceberg and Titanic, were not having any sign or signal that they were in the same path or they were in the same direction and they are going to collide in future. So they were in the coincident path. Means what? Coincident means being in the same location. Okay, coincident means being in the same location. So you might have seen in the film also, within a fraction of seconds they both hit each other very badly. Okay, on being anon twin halves of one august event. On being anon, anon means it is adverb, old use, poetical, in a short time or soon. Anon means in a short time. It was used in earlier times. That word was used in earlier times. That too in poetical language. That is in a short time. Within a fraction of seconds, they both hit each other very badly. And on being anon twin halves of one august event. So one side of the portion of Titanic was damaged and the two halves means divided into two. Okay, halves means to divide into two. Okay, halves. So these two halves means two pieces, Titanic and iceberg, met each other in one august event. Okay, august means one majestic or one royal event. So they met one majestic event. Till the spinner of the years said now, and each one hears, and consummation comes and jars two hemispheres. So spinner of the years means fate. Okay, spinner of the years means fate. Here fate is personified as the spinner of the years. The fate about the Titanic and iceberg said now that this is the moment of the collision and nothing can change it. And each one hears, everyone come to know about the collision of the Titanic and the iceberg, and both of them will hit together. Every passenger learnt about it, and consummation comes. Okay, what is consummation? Consummation means the point at which something is made complete. Consummation means the point at which something is made complete. Okay, so what was complete there? The collision of Titanic and the iceberg was completed. So, and jars two hemispheres. So, consummation comes and jars two hemispheres gives the idea that human pride was shattered when the ship sank. Okay, so jars means shock or to surprise. Jars means to shock or surprise. So it was shock to two hemispheres. Hemispheres, northern and southern hemisphere, you have heard it. So either side of the world. Okay, hemispheres means either side of the world. So it was like a great shock to the whole world, and whole world was shocked by the great disaster that took place in moment of seconds. The news spread across the families of the passengers that almost 1,500 people lost their lives in that terrible incident. Also, it not only jarred the two hemispheres. Jars means shock or surprise. It not only shocked the two hemispheres, that is the whole world, but also the human pride. Human pride was also being jarred because many passengers were waiting to go on that royal fashionable ship, but unfortunately fate played its own game and it was very different from people's expectations. No one could expect that such a great disaster is going to happen in Atlantic Ocean. So, this is about the poem The Convergence of the Twain, written by Thomas Hardy. I hope you have understood the poem. Thank you.